Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a simple truth. If you don't design your own life, someone else will design it for you. And here's the kicker: most people don't have your best interests at heart. This isn't a cynical perspective, it's reality. But here's the good news: when you truly understand this, you get to choose your direction. You become the architect of your own destiny, rather than a building block in someone else's plan. Every day we make countless choices, often without even realizing it. Choices about where we spend our time, who we listen to, what tasks we take on, and how we respond to others. The power of these choices can't be overstated because each one shapes the path we walk on, leading us either closer to the life we want or further away from it. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Not all choices are equally impactful. Some choices might seem small in the moment, but over time they add up to a significant change in our direction, and understanding this is what empowers us to make better decisions. One of the most crucial lessons about the power of choice is this: each time you say yes to something or someone, you are simultaneously saying no to something else. Think about that for a moment. Time and energy are finite resources, which means that every choice to devote them to one thing necessarily takes away from something else, often the very things we care most about. It's like spending money. If you buy everything that catches your eye, you won't have enough left for the things that really matter. In the same way, if you say yes to every request or every person who demands your attention, you won't have enough left for your own priorities. There's a tendency, especially among those who are kind-hearted and empathetic, to want to say yes whenever someone asks for help or for our time. We fear that saying no might come across as rude, selfish, or uncaring. But what we often fail to see is that constantly saying yes to others, without discerning whether it aligns with our own values, dreams, or needs, is ultimately a form of saying no to ourselves. And over time, these small no's to ourselves accumulate into a life that reflects not what we wanted, but what everyone else wanted from us. Real power, then, lies in recognizing the weight of our choices. Think of it as designing your life with intention instead of letting others do it for you. When you actively decide what and who deserves your time, you regain control. You stop being a piece on someone else's chessboard, moved around to suit their needs, and you start directing your own course. It's a simple but profound shift from being reactive to being proactive. Let's talk about the people around you, because they play a huge role in the choices you make. Not everyone who enters your life is there to support you. Some people will seek out your time, skills, and resources for their own benefit, not because they value you, but because they value what you can do for them. Here's a critical truth: if you don't place a high value on your time and energy, others won't either. People will naturally take from you as much as you allow, and if you're not mindful, they'll end up consuming resources that could have been invested in your own growth, well-being, or dreams. Think about it this way: if your time and energy were physical objects like gold coins, would you hand them out freely to everyone who asks? Probably not. You'd be selective, saving them for what truly matters, for the investments that will bring a return to your life. Your attention, your mental energy, your time, these are no different. They're precious, and when you understand this, you start making choices based on where those resources will bring the most value. Here's where it gets interesting. When you start making deliberate choices, when you begin saying no to what doesn't serve you, something magical happens: clarity. You start to see the people, activities, and commitments that genuinely uplift and inspire you. And you start recognizing the ones that drain you or divert you from your path. By choosing carefully, you carve out a life that's truly yours, one that reflects your unique dreams and goals, rather than being shaped by the demands and expectations of others. All this is easier said than done. It takes courage to say no, especially to people we care about or situations we've grown used to. But remember, every no you give is also a yes to something else, usually something that matters more to you. With each choice, you're telling yourself and the world what's important to you, what deserves your time, and what doesn't. And here's the beautiful part: as you get better at this, the people who genuinely respect you will start to value your choices as well. They'll respect your boundaries because they respect you. And those who don't, well, they'll drift away, which is exactly what needs to happen. The power of choice is one of the greatest tools we have. Each choice either brings you closer to your goals or pulls you further away from them. And every time you make a choice with intention, you step into a little more power over your own life. So the next time someone asks you for your time, your help, or your energy, pause. Think about whether this choice aligns with the life you want to create. Because if it doesn't, the best answer, the answer that empowers you, is a respectful no. Self-worth is the foundation of everything. When you understand and truly embrace your own value, you establish a base from which all other things flow: your relationships, your boundaries, your success, and your sense of fulfillment. Self-worth is not a skill that can be taught or a possession that someone can give you. It's a deeply personal understanding of who you are, and without it, it's all too easy to become vulnerable to other people's expectations, opinions, and demands. The first thing to grasp is that self-worth has nothing to do with the approval or validation of others. Many people fall into the trap of seeking validation from external sources like family, friends, colleagues, or society at large, believing that their worth is dependent on what others think of them. But think about this. If you allow others to define your value, you're giving them the power to determine how you feel about yourself. This is a dangerous place to be, because people's opinions are as unpredictable as the weather. They may applaud you one day and criticize you the next. Basing your self-worth on these shifting opinions leaves you at the mercy of forces beyond your control. When you understand your own value, however, you become rooted in something unshakable. You recognize that your worth is inherent, and it doesn't fluctuate based on external approval or rejection. This internal understanding brings stability, grounding you even when circumstances or relationships become challenging. You don't need everyone to see or affirm your value for it to be real. And this realization frees you from the exhausting pursuit of validation. You become self-reliant, no longer dependent on others to grant you worth. This shift in perspective empowers you to make decisions based on your true desires and goals rather than feeling obligated to meet others' expectations. A strong sense of self-worth also acts as a filter, allowing you to create and maintain healthy boundaries. When you know your own value, you understand that your time, energy, and resources are valuable too. You're less likely to tolerate situations or relationships that drain you or treat you poorly because you recognize that they don't align with how you deserve to be treated. People who lack a clear understanding of their worth often find themselves saying yes to things they don't really want to do or staying in situations that don't serve them. Why? Because they believe, consciously or subconsciously, that their worth is tied to what they can offer or how much they can give. But when you're confident in your worth, you begin to understand that you don't need to prove it by constantly giving. You don't need to be needed to feel valuable. Instead, you're able to make decisions that protect your well-being and prioritize your needs. This doesn't mean you stop helping others or giving of yourself. Rather, it means that you do so from a place of abundance, not obligation. Your actions come from a sense of generosity and purpose rather than from a fear of not being enough. Another powerful aspect of self-worth is that it influences the type of relationships you attract and maintain. People who see their own value are less likely to tolerate disrespect or settle for connections that don't uplift them. They naturally gravitate towards relationships that are balanced, mutually supportive, and respectful. When you value yourself, you don't settle for crumbs. You don't allow others to take advantage of your kindness or generosity, because you're secure in the knowledge that you deserve relationships that are nurturing and reciprocal. This doesn't mean you only look for people who agree with you or cater to you, but it does mean you seek out those who treat you with respect and consideration. When you cultivate self-worth, you'll notice that your confidence grows too. Confidence is not the same as arrogance. It's a quiet, steady belief in yourself, a sense of knowing that you're capable, resilient, and deserving. This confidence makes it easier to pursue your goals, take risks, and express yourself authentically. You stop apologizing for who you are and start stepping into your life fully without fear of judgment or rejection. And here's the beautiful irony: the more you value yourself, the more others begin to value you as well. It's as though people can sense when someone has a strong sense of self-worth, and they're drawn to that authenticity and inner strength. It's important to remember that self-worth doesn't mean thinking you're better than others. It simply means recognizing that you're enough just as you are. You don't have to compare yourself to anyone else because you understand that your worth is not relative. You're unique with your own strengths, weaknesses, dreams, and experiences, and that uniqueness is what makes you valuable. Embracing this truth allows you to let go of the need to compete, impress, or outdo others. Instead, you can focus on your own path, secure in the knowledge that you're valuable regardless of where anyone else is on theirs. Developing self-worth is about getting to know yourself deeply, understanding your values, embracing your strengths, and accepting your flaws. It's a journey of self-discovery and acceptance that brings you closer to your true self. When you know your worth, you stop wasting time on things that don't serve you, and you start creating a life that reflects who you are and what you deserve. And from this place of inner strength, you're no longer swayed by others' opinions, demands, or expectations. You stand firm, knowing that your worth isn't something that can be given or taken away. It's a part of you, unshakable and invaluable. Awareness is one of the most powerful tools we have, yet it's something many people overlook or take for granted. In a world full of distractions, it's easy to get caught up in a whirlwind of activities, relationships, and expectations without truly examining who we're surrounding ourselves with or how we're being influenced. But when we lack awareness, we unknowingly allow outside forces to shape our actions, our attitudes, and even our self-perception. We become vulnerable to the influence of others who may not have our best interests at heart, leaving us susceptible to being used or manipulated. Imagine walking through life as though you're on autopilot. Day in and day out, you're just going through the motions, responding to others, fulfilling expectations, and checking off tasks without really questioning why you're doing what you're doing or who is influencing those choices. This lack of awareness can lead you to make decisions that aren't in line with your true values, desires, or goals. You may find yourself in situations or relationships that drain you rather than uplift you. And the unfortunate truth is that this happens more often than many people realize. But once you bring awareness into your life, everything starts to change. When you cultivate awareness, you start paying attention to the people in your life and the impact they have on you. You begin to see patterns in how you feel around certain individuals, how they treat you, and what they expect from you. Are they supportive, encouraging, and respectful, or do they seem to drain your energy, demand your time, and take advantage of your kindness? Do they help you become a better version of yourself, or do they hold you back, subtly or not so subtly steering you away from your own path? When you're aware, you start to see these dynamics clearly, and this knowledge gives you the power to make intentional choices about who to keep close and who to distance yourself from. Awareness also brings clarity about the intentions of those around you. Not everyone will be transparent about their motives, and sometimes people will try to get close to you for reasons that serve their own interests rather than yours. They might offer you flattery, gifts, or promises of support, but behind these gestures, there may be an expectation that you'll reciprocate in ways that benefit them more than you. However, when you're aware, you can observe these dynamics without getting swept away by the moment. You can recognize when someone's actions come with strings attached, or when their interest in you is less about who you are and more about what you can do for them. By cultivating this awareness, you're better equipped to protect yourself. You develop a kind of internal radar that helps you pick up on the signals of manipulation or hidden agendas. This doesn't mean you become paranoid or start questioning everyone's motives. Rather, it's about being discerning, about noticing when something feels off and trusting your instincts. You learn to listen to that inner voice that tells you when a relationship or situation isn't right, even if you can't immediately pinpoint why. This inner awareness acts as a safeguard, helping you avoid getting entangled in relationships or situations that might lead to being used or taken advantage of. Being aware of influence also extends to other aspects of life beyond personal relationships. Consider the impact of media, societal expectations, and cultural norms on our thoughts and actions. We're constantly bombarded with messages about how we should look, act, think, and feel. Advertisements, social media, and the people we admire can shape our self-image and aspirations in subtle but powerful ways. When we're unaware of these influences, we might find ourselves chasing after ideals that don't align with our true selves, simply because they've been subtly implanted in our minds over time. Awareness helps us question these outside influences. It encourages us to ask, why do I want this? Why am I working towards this? Whose dream am I pursuing, mine or someone else's? These are tough questions, but they are also liberating. They free us from the pressure of living up to expectations that aren't our own and allow us to refocus on goals that genuinely resonate with us. With awareness, we regain control over our desires, motivations, and actions, ensuring they align with who we truly are, not who others want us to be. Building awareness takes practice, but it's well worth the effort. Start by taking time each day to reflect on your interactions, feelings, and reactions. Notice how you feel after spending time with certain people or consuming certain types of information. Do you feel uplifted, inspired, and motivated, or do you feel drained, anxious, and doubtful? This practice of reflection sharpens your awareness over time, helping you become more mindful of the influences in your life. Another valuable tool for building awareness is mindfulness, the practice of staying present and fully engaged in each moment. By practicing mindfulness, you begin to observe your own thoughts and emotions without judgment, allowing you to see patterns in your responses to certain situations or people. When you're mindful, you become more attuned to your internal landscape, which allows you to recognize when something feels right and when something feels off. This clarity helps you navigate life with greater purpose and intention, rather than being swayed by the noise of the world around you. Awareness is a form of empowerment. When you're aware of the influence of others, you're no longer an unwitting participant in someone else's story. You become the author of your own life, making choices based on what's best for you, rather than what others might want from you. Awareness allows you to build a life that reflects your values, your dreams, and your authenticity. And that, in turn, is one of the most powerful ways to ensure that you are never used, but instead respected, valued, and truly seen. One of the most significant steps you can take toward building a fulfilling and meaningful life is becoming intentional about your connections. It's tempting to let relationships happen by chance, connecting with people because they're familiar, convenient, or already in our social circles. But here's a truth that can change everything. Not everyone is meant to have a front row seat in your life. The people you surround yourself with play a huge role in your happiness, productivity, and growth. They can either lift you up or hold you back, and only by being mindful of your connections can you ensure that they contribute positively to your life. Many of us carry around unintentional connections, relationships that we didn't actively choose but instead fell into by default. Perhaps it's the colleague who you end up socializing with out of habit, the friend from high school you keep around for old time's sake, or a family member who, despite being in your life by blood, consistently brings negativity. When we don't actively decide who we keep close, we risk filling our lives with relationships that don't align with our values, goals, or sense of self. And that's the crux of it. Our closest connections should reflect our highest values. They should align with the life we envision for ourselves. Imagine a life where every connection brings something valuable: support, inspiration, joy, or growth. In such a life, each person in your inner circle genuinely celebrates your successes, encourages your ambitions, and respects your boundaries. They contribute to your peace of mind and motivate you to reach new heights. This doesn't mean that every interaction is without challenges. Even the healthiest relationships require effort and patience. But the difference lies in the quality of these connections. When you choose people who reflect your values, your life becomes less cluttered by negative energy, unnecessary drama, or hidden competition. Instead, you're surrounded by individuals who nurture rather than drain your spirit. The first step in building mindful connections is to assess the relationships you currently have. Take a look at each one honestly and ask yourself some critical questions. How does this person make me feel? Do I feel uplifted and encouraged, or do I feel drained, stressed, or even manipulated? Am I growing through this relationship, or do I feel stagnant, perhaps even hindered? The answers to these questions can provide profound insight into whether a relationship is adding value to your life or subtly eroding it. When you start to understand which relationships are positive and which ones are problematic, you can begin making decisions about how much time, energy, and emotional investment to give to each. For some connections, this may mean creating boundaries. For others, it could mean pulling back entirely. And though it's not always easy to step away from people, doing so can create room for relationships that genuinely nourish you. We only have so much mental and emotional space, and filling it with the right people can make an incredible difference in how we experience life. Setting boundaries is a crucial part of building intentional relationships. Boundaries aren't about pushing people away or creating unnecessary distance. They're about protecting your own well-being and values. When you establish boundaries, you're setting limits around what you will and won't accept in your relationships. For example, you might set a boundary with someone who constantly tries to bring you into their personal drama or who frequently criticizes your choices. Boundaries don't have to be harsh or confrontational. They can be as simple as letting someone know, kindly and respectfully, that there are certain topics you'd rather not discuss, or that you need time for yourself after a long week. Boundaries signal to others that you value yourself and that you expect your needs and well-being to be respected. People who respect your boundaries are those who genuinely care about you and want to see you thrive. On the other hand, those who resist or violate your boundaries reveal a lot about their intentions and priorities. Healthy connections honor and respect your needs, while unhealthy ones often disregard them in favor of their own interests. Beyond setting boundaries, building mindful connections also involves actively seeking out relationships that bring positivity and balance to your life. Look for people who inspire you, who share similar values, and who are interested in growth. These are the individuals who will motivate you, challenge you in constructive ways, and be there during both the highs and lows of life. You'll often find these people in places that align with your passions or pursuits. Joining groups, clubs, or classes that focus on something you care about can introduce you to like-minded individuals who may become valuable friends or mentors. Remember that quality far outweighs quantity. It's better to have a few meaningful connections than to spread yourself thin across many superficial ones. Strong, supportive relationships don't come by accident. They're built through time, shared experiences, and mutual respect. When you invest in these relationships, you create a support system that enriches your life, helping you face challenges, celebrate victories, and navigate the complexities of life with confidence. Being intentional about your connections takes courage. It's not always easy to distance yourself from relationships that don't serve you, especially if they've been part of your life for a long time. However, prioritizing your mental and emotional well-being is worth the discomfort of change. In doing so, you open up space for relationships that uplift and empower you. You create an environment where your growth is celebrated, where your ambitions are supported, and where your authenticity is valued. When you surround yourself with people who truly align with your values and vision, you give yourself the best possible foundation for a life that reflects who you are and who you want to become. And that's the kind of life worth building. Recognizing your priorities is one of the most powerful ways to direct your life intentionally. Your priorities are the compass that guide you toward what really matters, helping you make choices that support your goals, values, and well-being. When you understand your priorities clearly, you can focus your time and energy on the things that align with your true self, instead of being pulled in every direction by others' agendas or by distractions that don't serve you. But establishing and maintaining those priorities requires intention and discipline. Otherwise, it's all too easy to let the urgent replace the important, or to end up investing in things that ultimately lead you away from where you want to go. The process of setting priorities begins with self-reflection. Ask yourself what truly matters to you in life. What are the values that define you? What goals do you want to achieve? And what kind of life do you envision for yourself? Take time to explore these questions honestly and thoughtfully, because they reveal the foundation of your priorities. For some people, family may be a top priority. For others, it might be their career, personal growth, health, or contributions to their community. Once you've identified what matters most, you can start organizing your time and energy around these priorities, knowing that each decision brings you closer to the life you want. When you have clear priorities, they serve as a filter for making decisions. Life is full of opportunities, requests, and invitations. Without strong priorities, it's easy to get swept up in things that sound appealing or that others push on us. But when you're grounded in what truly matters to you, it becomes easier to say no to things that don't serve your purpose. This doesn't mean that you shut yourself off from new experiences or opportunities. Rather, it means that you assess them through the lens of your priorities. If a new opportunity aligns with your goals and values, it may be worth pursuing. If it doesn't, you can let it go without feeling guilty or as if you're missing out. One of the greatest challenges in managing priorities is learning to balance them. Most people have multiple things they care about deeply, and sometimes these priorities compete for attention. For example, someone might value both their career and their family, but dedicating time to one can sometimes mean taking time away from the other. The key is not to seek perfection, but to find a balance that feels right for you. There will be times when one priority needs more attention than others. Perhaps a big work project demands your focus, or a family member needs your support. Being flexible and adjusting your time as needed without losing sight of your core priorities allows you to handle life's demands without feeling overwhelmed. Prioritizing also requires you to set boundaries. Many people struggle with saying no because they feel obligated to help or worry about disappointing others. But remember, every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your priorities, you're effectively saying no to something that does. This doesn't mean you never lend a hand or support others. Rather, it means that you're mindful of how much time and energy you're giving away. Boundaries help you protect the time and space needed for your priorities, allowing you to make choices that are aligned with what truly matters to you. Another critical part of staying focused on your priorities is to recognize and manage distractions. We live in a world filled with distractions: social media, constant notifications, endless options for entertainment, and countless obligations vying for our attention. These distractions may not be inherently negative, but if left unchecked, they can consume time that could be spent on your priorities. Becoming aware of these distractions and learning to minimize them allows you to create more room in your life for what's truly important. Simple strategies like setting aside specific times to check email, limiting time on social media, or setting aside focused periods for personal work or family time can make a significant difference. Aligning your actions with your priorities also brings clarity and purpose to your life. When you know what matters most to you and organize your life around it, each day feels more meaningful. Instead of going through the motions or being reactive to others' needs and expectations, you're in control, making choices that serve your long-term goals and well-being. You start to notice the small steps you're taking towards those goals, and even on challenging days, this sense of purpose can help you stay motivated. Knowing you're working towards something meaningful makes each effort, each sacrifice, and each decision worthwhile. It's important to remember that priorities can change over time. What's important to you today might not be as important a few years from now, and that's okay. Life is dynamic, and as you grow and evolve, your priorities may shift to reflect new goals or values. Periodically taking time to reassess your priorities keeps you in touch with what matters most to you at any given stage. This flexibility allows you to adapt to changes without losing sight of what's most important. Setting and following your priorities is about creating a life that reflects your unique values and aspirations. It's about choosing where you invest your time, energy, and attention so that you're building a life that's not just busy but fulfilling. When you live according to your priorities, you gain a sense of fulfillment and peace because you know that your choices align with who you are and what you want to achieve. You're no longer at the mercy of others' demands, societal expectations, or fleeting distractions. Instead, you're in control, living a life that's truly your own. Prioritizing your life in this way doesn't make you selfish. In fact, it allows you to show up better for others. When you're aligned with your values and focused on your goals, you're more fulfilled and energized, which means you're better equipped to help others in meaningful ways. By staying true to your priorities, you're not just benefiting yourself, you're creating a positive ripple effect that impacts everyone around you. Taking control of your actions is one of the most powerful steps toward building the life you want, and it's something only you can do for yourself. Every day we face a multitude of choices, from how we spend our time to how we respond to challenges and interactions. Each of these choices shapes our life, influencing our success, happiness, and well-being. But often, people underestimate the impact of their daily actions, or they find themselves making choices based on habits, impulses, or external pressures. Taking control of your actions means deciding to live with intention and purpose, steering your life toward your goals rather than allowing it to be shaped by outside forces. To take control of your actions, it's essential to start with self-awareness. Self-awareness allows you to recognize the patterns in your behavior and understand why you make the choices you do. For instance, are there situations where you tend to procrastinate, react impulsively, or act in ways that don't align with your values? Do you find yourself saying yes to things that you don't actually want to do simply because you feel pressured? By becoming more aware of these tendencies, you can begin to make changes that put you back in control. One of the most effective ways to exercise control over your actions is through intentional goal setting. When you have clear goals, you give yourself a destination to work toward. Goals provide a sense of direction, helping you decide where to focus your energy and what actions to prioritize. But it's important to remember that setting goals alone isn't enough. The real power lies in breaking those goals down into actionable steps and committing to them daily. By focusing on small, consistent actions, you gradually build momentum, and over time, those small actions lead to significant progress. This process keeps you moving forward, even on days when motivation might be low or distractions abound. Building positive habits is another cornerstone of taking control of your actions. Our habits shape a large part of our daily behavior, often without us even realizing it. By cultivating positive habits that align with your goals, you essentially put parts of your success on autopilot. Consider a habit like starting your day with exercise or a morning routine focused on planning. These kinds of habits reinforce your commitment to your well-being and productivity, helping you start each day on the right foot. Building habits takes time, but once they're in place, they create a powerful structure that supports your goals. Taking control of your actions doesn't mean you'll never face setbacks, obstacles, or difficult emotions. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes circumstances can feel overwhelming. But when you're in control of your actions, you approach these challenges with a different mindset. Instead of seeing obstacles as insurmountable or allowing them to derail your progress, you view them as part of the journey. You recognize that while you may not be able to control everything that happens to you, you can always control how you respond. This mindset turns challenges into opportunities for growth, helping you develop resilience and resourcefulness. Another important aspect of taking control of your actions is managing your environment. Your surroundings, including the people you spend time with, the information you consume, and the places where you spend your day, all impact your behavior and mindset. By actively shaping your environment to support your goals, you make it easier to stay on track. Surround yourself with people who uplift and inspire you, consume information that broadens your knowledge and perspective, and create spaces that encourage focus and productivity. When your environment aligns with your intentions, it reinforces your ability to make choices that support your long-term success. Taking control also requires discipline. Discipline is often misunderstood as something rigid or restrictive, but in reality, discipline is a form of self-respect. It's the decision to prioritize your future over fleeting impulses or temporary comforts. Discipline helps you stay consistent, even when the initial excitement of a new goal wears off, or when distractions start to pull you away from your path. By practicing discipline, you prove to yourself that you're committed to your growth and well-being, building a sense of trust and confidence in your ability to follow through on your intentions. Learning to manage time effectively is another crucial part of taking control of your actions. Time is one of the most valuable resources we have, and once it's gone, we can never get it back. When you're intentional about how you spend your time, you're making a commitment to your goals and values. This means identifying priorities, avoiding unnecessary distractions, and learning to say no when something doesn't serve your purpose. By taking ownership of your time, you ensure that each day brings you closer to your vision, rather than letting days slip by without meaningful progress. At the core of taking control of your actions is the understanding that you're responsible for your life. It's easy to blame circumstances, other people, or even luck when things don't go our way, but this mindset leaves us feeling powerless. Taking responsibility for your actions means acknowledging that, while you may not have control over every situation, you always have control over how you respond and what you choose to do next. This sense of responsibility empowers you to make decisions that move you forward, rather than getting stuck in excuses or regret. Taking control of your actions gives you the freedom to live authentically. When you're intentional about your choices, you're not living according to someone else's expectations or being swayed by others' opinions. Instead, you're making decisions that align with who you are and what you want to achieve. This kind of authenticity brings fulfillment, because it's rooted in a life you've consciously chosen, rather than one you drifted into by default. Taking control of your actions is not always easy. It requires effort, discipline, and commitment. But the rewards are profound. By making intentional choices, building positive habits, and focusing on your goals, you create a life that reflects your true self. Each action you take becomes a building block for the future you envision, bringing you closer to a life of purpose, growth, and fulfillment. This journey of control is ultimately about empowerment, about recognizing your ability to shape your own destiny and understanding that every choice you make brings you one step closer to the life you want. In conclusion, the power to create a fulfilling, meaningful life lies within each of us. When we stop letting others define our path, we reclaim control over our future. By understanding our true values, being intentional with our connections, prioritizing what matters, and aligning our actions with our goals, we set ourselves up for success and inner peace. Life isn't about simply going through the motions or following someone else's blueprint. It's about designing a journey that reflects who we are and what we truly want. Every choice we make is a step towards something. It can either be a step closer to our authentic life or a step further away, given to the agendas or influences of others. Building a life of purpose requires courage, discipline, and clarity, but it also brings a profound sense of freedom and joy. When you set your own course, surround yourself with people who uplift you, and commit to actions that matter, you become the true architect of your destiny. Take ownership of your life. Recognize that every day, every decision is a powerful tool you can use to build something remarkable. Live deliberately. Invest in meaningful relationships, stay focused on your priorities, and always remember that you're in the driver's seat. Don't let anyone else steer your journey. With self-awareness, intention, and action, you can create a life that not only fulfills you, but also inspires everyone around you.